Morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you are doing good. Today is 25th September and we have some important articles on our table. The first one and the most important one, or I can say that one of the most interesting article that we have on our table is this one. It's called The Power of a Nudge. Apart from that, other articles we have already talked about them in recent past, so it's going to be easier for you. But this one, this power of nudge, is a new concept, so we will start our discussion with this one. But before that, I would like to inform all of you that our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. To find out more about it, check out StudyIQ.com. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page or from my Twitter handle. Now, the power of a nudge. I'll give you a recent, you can say, experience of mine, of course, indirect experience. A friend of mine was in Golden Temple, Amritsar, and he was there for a visit. Of course, he was there in Punjab for some work, etc., for tourism purpose. And then when he came back, he was sharing his experience of this Golden Temple with me. He told me that when he entered that temple, no one told him to, cover his head. No one told him to switch off or either silent your mobile phone. No one told. So basically what he was trying to tell me is that everything was working automatically. And this sort of things I find them quite fascinating. I like to observe this sort of thing. So as if you observe this thing for yourself, you will find it very interesting that we human beings, we like to copy each other. It's not something that we do, you can say consciously, but subconsciously. This is a thing that is happening all the time with us. I'll give you a small example. Right, when you leave your house or your office or some other place, you are in a very good mood, right? But when you will be stuck in a traffic for 5-10 minutes, it will impact your mood. Then what about honking horns that we find in our country, right? You find that people are honking horns even at those points where it's not at all required, but this has become part of our behavior. The other thing is, I have so many examples of this thing. Like if you visit a temple or some other places, you will find that people will automatically, they will become a bit quiet. If you visit a very posh restaurant, then you will observe this thing that those people who are generally speaking very loud when they are speaking, the people who are loud, and you will find a change of a little bit change in their behavior. They will go a bit more silent and they will talk, rather than talking loudly, they would be, you can say, somewhere in middle, bit higher than whispering and bit lower than shouting. They will be somewhere in middle, those people who are generally speaking extremely loud. So we find this behavior when we are out there to eat something on street, street food, then our people, the way they talk and things like that will be a bit different. When I say, I'm not saying that everyone will, if we are in posh restaurant, then we will try to behave a bit more poshly. No, what I'm saying is, like, give you one more example. I believe this will help you. So we have this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan going on, right, in our country, and we know that even today, as far as this plastic and rubbish here and there is concerned, we need to change our behavior, because we find that it's not about uneducation, or it's not about illiteracy, it's not about that people hate each other. It's about our behavior. Those people who are throwing litter here and there, the same people, if they go to Singapore or some other country, developed country, then they will not chuck this rubbish here and there, because they know it very well that, first of all, the law is very strict over there, and the other thing is that you don't find that environment that will trigger or that will accept or allow this sort of behavior from you. So this is a thing that is very much important, and the reason why we are discussing this power of a nudge is because around the world you have 202 institutions, and these institutions are studying this behavioral insights, and they are trying to bridge this behavior with our public policy. And this is very much important as well, because we can have the best policies, right? We can have policies that are having, they will policies that will have a huge impact on our life. They can change the way things are going on with our life. Like, say for example, Swachh Bharat, it can save so many lives. Now we'd be thinking like how it can save lives, because so many kids, children, they pass away because of this diarrhea and other diseases, food poisoning and malnutrition and other things. So clean environment can give you, healthy life, and this will impact our economy. So all these things are important for us. But generally speaking, right, we human beings, it's not that we are thinking beings, so that that does not mean that all our decisions are always right. Many of our decisions are wrong as well, and we do it on regular basis. So basically, if we design policies, keeping in mind the behavior of human beings, then it will be a bit easier for us to take them to a particular direction. May it be Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, or may it be, about any other thing. And you can apply this behavioral thing, or behavioral, human behavior, or consumer behavior, you can say citizen behavior. This sort of things are at present, it's you can say interest of research. It's going on, research on this subjects are going on in various different universities. Psychological analysis and all these things, right, are in fact for many countries, developing nations like some countries of West Asia as well, they have adopted this thing. And of course Australia, UK, France and USA, they are using this data and these things. They are going through this behavior of human beings, and based on that they are designing their policies. So we get more success at the end of the day if we take in consideration whilst designing our policy, if we are behavioral science, if it is taken on board, then it helps. We have some example here, like Kilkari is a mobile service by government, and what basically it intends to do, this Kilkari, is it creates this awareness about health, particularly of a pregnant lady and the child. So it will send you messages, and it will send you reminders and other things. So in this way it will keep you in that environment, where the whole family will be thinking about, will be concerned about health of that lady in that family who is pregnant. So this is how, as you can understand, I believe here that if I'm been successful here to make you understand this bit difficult to explain thing. When I say bit difficult to explain, is because we have to rely on our own imagination when we talk about our nudge, or this nudge system. And this example that I gave you of this Kilkari, what it does is basically it will, as I told you, that this will create, this Kilkari will create environment of, health will be there actively in the conscious mind of the people of this family. So by providing, when you create this, a state of mind where people are, or a family members are concerned about health of a particular member, at that point of time, if you feed some information, then there are high chances that they will implement that thing. So this is how we can look after maternal, you can reduce our maternal mortality rate or neonatal mortality rate and things like that. So I hope these things are making sense here. So this is the power of a nudge, and this is the thing that we need, right? Behavioral science. It's a very interesting, and our brain is so, you can say, when I say brain, I'm talking about our mind. Basically, brain is something that is a physical thing. Mind is something that is, it's intangible, right? So our mind, or the way our subconscious and conscious mind, our active and inactive or subactive mind, the way it works is so amazing. I'll give you a small example, right? When you enter a room where people are talking about you, or were talking about you, right, before you entered that room, you will realize that thing, from the facial expression. Means you don't have to sit down and analyze things. You will realize this thing, that something was cooking here, something bad was going behind my back. If you are driving a car or motorcycle or something, and you see a person who is driving or riding in front of you, and if that person takes some, you can say, sudden moves that are very dangerous, then without even your active, you won't require your active efforts to think. In a microsecond you will realize that to stay away from that person. So this is the power of our mind, and it's so interesting that we are still studying this thing, this behavior, why we behave in a certain way and things like that. People are still studying it, and the more we will understand this thing, the better policy implementation can take place. So less waste of resources. You can say that it will become more effective and efficient in a nutshell. And the reason why I have discussed this particular item in detail and used so many examples is because when you talk about policies, see, you find this type of questions in your mains examination, right? That certain policies are not working and things like that. Or even if it's your essay thing, then you can talk about this thing. You can add this example of studying or collaborating behavioral science with policy formation and implementation, and the results that we can achieve out of it. With this, dear friends, now moving on to another item. It is about rethinking disaster management. Now, unfortunately, we are living in a world at present that is surrounded by or is vulnerable to this natural calamities, and their frequency, their intensity is increasing day by day, which is a matter of concern for every one of us. And this, it's a matter of common sense that we cannot sit down, and we cannot be you can say a reactive. You can say our approach cannot be reactive. It should be proactive. Now only then we will be able to do or mitigate the risks that are associated with this frequently occurring natural disasters. We have seen the situation of Kerala. We know Hurricane Harvey. We know this Typhoon Haiyan of Philippines created huge amount of losses. And what we need to do now, as we have talked about these things earlier on as well. So in a nutshell, I would say that if we are rebuilding our society in terms of physical infrastructure, then we have to build it in a better way. If a particular region is prone to earthquakes, then buildings should be earthquake proof. Safety features, fire exit. And if you visit countries like, say for example, UK, they are so much you can say concerned about this safety. They are, when I say so much concerned, I mean to say that they have this active culture of supporting health and safety. This is a very good thing, because if you are just hoping that only on this challenging days all of a sudden we will be able to tackle everything, then that will not happen. You have to inculcate this culture of health and safety in the lives of people, regular lives, because as far as health and safety is concerned, if you visit UK, you will find this thing. Or if you study or case studies, if you read case studies about health and safety, then you will find that they have particularly offices, they will have this broad doors. They need to have this broad doors, not the entry doors, but you have this fire or emergency exit, and this exits they have wide doors, and they have thought about this thing, isn't it, that when you have emergency, people will of course naturally behave that they want to exit that building. So if you have a very narrow, you can say exit door, then people are going to, you can have a stampede over here. But when you have wider one, people can easily exit this particular building. Then you cannot park cars behind this door, and so there are all these small details are worked on. And they have these mock drills. Offices, they have to go through this mock drill, and you have one person in office, everyone knows about that person, that person is, if something is wrong, particularly if you catch fire or something, then you have one person who will take over that situation. That person is a leader who has gone through this fire extinguisher course and everything, so that's what we need in our villages as well, right? Yesterday I provided you a picture of Andhra Pradesh. Remember, map-based question. So Andhra Pradesh is a state where you have this coastal villages of Andhra Pradesh. You find people who are trained, this villages, one or two villages are trained. So during this natural calamities, particularly cyclones, this population of village, they know exactly, right, whom to follow. They know already that they have one leader who is trained for this thing, and they have to follow instructions. So these are the ways through which we can mitigate. We have to very meticulously, pay attention to this small details, and we have to create this culture, because even today we don't have this culture in our country. That's what I think, that's what I have observed. So we have to work on it. Of course, as far as our government is concerned, as far as our technologies are concerned, we have moved quite a lot. Things are not as they used to be back in 1999. Take this example of Odisha. 10,000 people died because of this super cyclone. Now, we had this super cyclone Falin in 2013, but only 40 people died because we had this early warning system. So we need, if we are rebuilding, then we need to build it from infrastructure point of view, from people's point of view. We have to relocate all those people who are in line of this frequently happening natural disasters. We have to implement, just rules being on book is not going to be helpful. We have to thoroughly and implement this rules and regulations as far as this fragile ecologies are concerned. Now, Ayushman Bharat. Yesterday we were talking about Ayushman Bharat, and we have talked about so many things regarding Ayushman Bharat. So we are going to drop all those things. We are going to move ahead and talk about this states not being able to contribute or their own share. They cannot. It's because you have, like, say for example, states like northeastern states. They are not in that good position even to pay proper salaries to their employees. I'm not talking, it's not a mythical thing that we are talking about. This is a reality. Early on, what used to happen is that all the schemes of central government were 100% funded, or any scheme that you want to implement in this northeastern state, they were 100% funded by central government. Then later on, this was changed to 90:10, and when this was made 90:10, at that point of time as well, northeastern states were severely struggling to take out money for this 10%, because on one side they have to look after the salaries of their employees, and on the other side they have to take out a big chunk for this centrally designed schemes. So it's not that that every state is capable of contributing this much amount of money. So this is going to be a big hurdle. But let me tell you, now government of India has changed this 90:10. It is again back to 100%. So all the schemes are 100% funded by this particular schemes that you implement in northeastern states. They are 100% funded by central government. So this is a small change that we have done, a small yet important change for northeastern states. Now we are talking about this cost, right? So far government of India has allocated 2,000 crore rupees for this year as far as this PMJAY Yojana is concerned, and we know that this is not going to help. 2,000 is a very small amount when we are talking about providing 40% of our population with insurance cover. The other thing is, as far as this costs are concerned, or this expense is concerned, or the total bill is concerned, private hospitals are not on the same page, or central government and private hospitals are not on the same page. They are not happy with this fixed formula. For-profit or private hospitals are saying that government's proposal is unviable. Government wants to make sure that they are not charging extra money, unnecessary treatments and other things. We need to keep an eye on all these things. So that is important as well. So just, if I can say in a nutshell, I would say that yesterday we talked about this thing. Remember, I gave you example of GST. Same thing is discussed here, that we have to prepare ourselves for initial hurdles. But if we have that willpower, if we genuinely believe that this is something that is absolutely important for our society, then we will make necessary changes, and then this can be, of course, then a game changer. Now we have an indefensible ordinance. This is about an ordinance on triple talaq, this article, and ordinance. The ordinance are basically, you can say, it's a facility, or you can say it's a tool that you use when your parliament and when your state legislative assemblies or assembly is not in a session. If government thinks that we need to have a particular law that is urgently required, and if parliament and state assemblies are not in session, then ordinance is a tool via which you can implement that particular law. Now government has used this ordinance path to implement this triple talaq, and the government is saying that at present it is absolutely necessary the way things are going on, it's out of control and things like that. But if we go through the figures, then we find that it's not that bad. The other thing is Article 123, 1 to 3, easy to remember, 1 to 3. So Article 1 to 3 of the Constitution requires the President to ensure that the existence of circumstances which render it necessary for him to take immediate action. This is very important, that President should be of his opinion that yes, at present this particular you can say this particular ordinance or this law is absolutely necessity for the nation, for the society. So when he or she feels, when a president feels that yes, we need this law, then only he should go for this ordinance route. Then Article 1 to 3 subsection 3 warns that if an ordinance is talking about, or if an ordinance is making a law on an item that is not even under the purview of parliament, or even parliament would not undertake that law or provision, and if ordinance is talking about, or if it is based on that particular item, then it shall be void. Then you have section 2b of this triple talaq bill that was passed from Lok Sabha, but it was withdrawn from Rajya Sabha, or it was not taken on board on Rajya Sabha, because government was of this opinion that people are, or the parties are not on the same page. Anyways, section 2 or section 2b talks about this, that this having the effect of this instant talaq. You cannot have this instant talaq, or it will not it's not legal. For example, when I say it's not legal, I mean to say that if you text someone and say three times talaq, then that's not going to be considered as an official divorce. The other thing is it's considered void and illegal as per section 3, and section 4 talks about 3 years imprisonment, and section 7 talks about cognizable and non-bailable offense, or the nature of this triple talaq. So the question here that we discussed earlier on is, if A is writing to B, or if A is uttering 3 times talaq, and if this thing is not valid, if this is not a method to get divorce from B, then how, then if this is something that is not acceptable as far as law is concerned, then why it is illegal? You know what I mean? It's a bit contradictory here, that on one side you are saying that this thing is not acceptable, or this thing is not recognized. On the other side you are saying that that thing is illegal. So it's a bit weird here. So government needs to talk more about it. We need some more clarity on this thing, because this is creating confusion. The other thing is, if you are sending someone behind the bar for something that we are not recognizing, right, then you are basically breaching this Article 21, as per which no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So if we are either terming it illegal, then you need to, means there is nothing criminal about this thing, isn't it? If someone is just writing 3 times talaq, then that person has not done anything, you can say, anything that is criminal. Of course, in terms of emotion, it's going to be a bit challenging for both the parties, particularly for the lady, because most of the time it is instant talaq. So anyways, what we are trying to understand here is that anything that you pass from parliament or state legislature is not a law. A law should be reasonable. If it's not reasonable, then it is unconstitutional. And Supreme Court has also clarified this thing, that you cannot give extra and extra time. You cannot re-promulgate this ordinance. You have to, any particular law, it's important that it passes from this parliament or this legislature. This is only an emergency thing, ad hoc thing or facility ordinance. So government should go for this parliament route once the parliament is in session. So that's everything as far as articles are concerned, dear friends. This one is about this national, manufacturing nationalism. It's about UGC dictating universities that we need to celebrate this surgical strike day. Now I'm sure that we have done bigger things. Our armed forces, they have achieved bigger missions as well, bigger than this surgical strike. And it's very, you can say, it's very interesting that the UGC is asking universities to celebrate this thing because election season is on at present. So it clearly indicates that you have this, UGC is also playing politics, if I can say this thing. The other thing is what we find in our higher education institutions. Right? Look at their quality. Compare this quality with quality of foreign institutions. I was just talking about this thing on PIB analysis as well as a special topic, that quality of our higher education is not that good. Our international ranking is bad, as all these things indicate that UGC has failed us, and now it is asking us to celebrate a particular day. So anyways, as far as these articles are concerned, we have gone through all of them, right? We have gone through this one as well. Now this article is about India and Pakistan. We know what's going on between both these nations. There is nothing new that you find in that article apart from some factual details. Now moving on to news item, important news. Yemen concedes a defeat. So we are going to see new person, you can say, in charge of this Maldives, and that this person, his name is Ibrahim Solih. So he's going to be, I believe, a friend of our country. So that's a good news for our neighborhood policy. A center is finalizing this tariffs on non-essential imports. Female circumcision, it's also known as this female genital mutilation, FGM, is a thing that you find in various different countries. It's prevalent, and it is a violation of a woman's right to life and dignity. So Supreme Court has referred this item to 5-judge Constitution bench. Then you have rain, right? Excessive rain has killed 11 people in North India. Navy officer Abhilash Tommy has been rescued after 3 days. Husband not allowed to move, Supreme Court says Sanjeev Bhatt, who's Sanjeev Bhatt's wife, former IPS officer Sanjeev Bhatt. If you were following current affairs in 2013, in 2012, then you know that this IPS officer from Gujarat was not having good relationship with then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, and he gave out some statement, and after that we find that this a sort of you can say war was going on between BJP and this former IPS officer Sanjeev Bhatt, and now his missus is complaining to Supreme Court that this Gujarat government is not creating this situation, or they are not allowing this IPS officer to move to Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has asked a reply from state of Gujarat, and then you have panel approves nutrition norms. So in those areas like severe acute malnutrition areas, you have to provide freshly cooked food, right, prepared from locally available cereals, pulses and vegetables, and domestic aviation traffic. So 17% growth. Sushma Swaraj to focus on South-South cooperation. Now what South-South cooperation is all about? Here are the countries of South-South cooperation, and predominantly they are developing nations. So developing nations will work with each other and support each other for development. That's what South-South cooperation is all about. And then you have this financial news that when rupee was down back in 2012, we saw a rise of 25% investment coming from NRIs, and now rupee is down by 13%. So we are going to see at present a sort of money is being injected into our economy by our NRIs. You have 4 words here for you guys as your vocabulary, so check them on your dictionary and try to create a sentence, and this is how you learn new words every day. Here is your answer, map-based answer, right? Odisha is a state that is sharing its border with Andhra Pradesh. Then you have this Odisha, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and of course you have Union Territory of Yanam, that is Puducherry as well. So keep this thing in mind. And this is your question. Today's map-based question is this one. Give me the name of this project. These are your answers. Your 2 new question, and I would like to leave you guys with some beautiful pictures. You can see here, this is a runway in Sikkim, right? This is the 100th airport of our country, and it's so beautiful. I thought I should definitely share these pictures with you guys. So here we go. That's the most beautiful airport I have ever seen in my life. And make sure you share this lecture with other students. Enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.